Hey guys, it's LemonRush. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to win games on LakeVille. So, in this replay, it's an encounter game mode. Encounter is, I mean team deathmatch too. They play the exact same way. So I actually just played this game, but what you're going to find on LakeVille in really any game mode is that heavies and some mediums will play the city, mediums and TDs will camp in the middle, and then bad players will play on the 1-2 line. Or sometimes you'll find like a Unicum who wants to farm all the bad players on the 2 line, but really, I've tried it. I don't have any luck with it, so bad players go to the 1-2 line. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm going to the city. Now this is encounter, so the city becomes even more relevant because that's where the cap circle is. You can see I'm doing this sort of relatively alone. I am taking my time as I do this, but at the same time, there's no rush. So what you can see me doing here as I'm driving into the city, I'll zoom out just to show where I am, is I'm looking for shots on the camping TDs, because a lot of the times the way this map plays out is that those TDs at G4, which you can see I actually don't have render on, but I do know where they are, become super problematic the second you want to try to like win the cap circle, because they'll just what they'll do is they'll shoot into the city and just farm you. So you can see I have an opportunity to put shots into the common location where that guy is. I saw where he was on the map. I took a blind shot and I ended up hitting him. You're gonna see I'm gonna take a second one. I'm not so lucky this time, but I just want to damage those people so it's a lot easier for me to deal with them later. Now, I'm not super pressured, they are on our cap, but really the amount of pressure is minimal. You can see I end up finishing off this bat shot. The 54 lightweight asks for help, and then he says thank you, and so I say effectively you're welcome. So you can see this is really interesting, because what's going to happen here is I'm leading the charge drastically. If you take a look at the map, I'm basically alone, right? If you looked at my teammates and said, is it safe to go into the city based on where your team is? The answer would be no. I'm going to do it anyways, though, simply because I'm confident that I'm not going to get rushed. I can play it passively, and what I'll do is I'll just sort of shift the context, and I will be relatively unaggressive considering, you know, where my teammates are. Now, eventually you're going to notice I've got really quick mediums coming up with me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you know, move up eventually. That's because I see the AMX-30 and the Lorraine 40T, who have moved up, are coming to help me. So we're going to be able to do this together, and from here it's a whole new ball game, because now we're in the fight, we can be aggressive, and we aren't, you know, I have teammates with me. So just that's micro timing and micro positioning right there. You can see there's an STRV in front of me. I'm going to try to take a shot at him. That one ends up missing. This is sort of where you actually want to be stuck in the city. You'll notice the TDs will have shots on me, but because of the way I play, I make it very difficult for them to return fire. I'm shooting back at them because I do know that they're a huge threat. So I just want to point that out. The way you deal with the camping TDs who will have shots on you is to shoot back at them, because that's how TDs work, is they think they're camo tanks. Even if you take blind shots near them, a lot of the times if you get lucky and hit them, they will start to fall back because they don't know why they're getting shot. So right here, what's happening is I'm brawling with this IS-7. You can see the reason I'm doing this is because the STRV managed to put a shot into me despite me shooting at him. Like, he wasn't as scared as I would have liked him to be. So what I've done is I put cover in between myself and the STRV, and now we're sort of forced into this fight against this IS-7. Now, I have all the advantages here. I have more DPM than he does. I have teammates with me. I mean, he has teammates too, but I don't think I will lose against this guy. So I want to point out something that I did. I fell back here, because I knew I had teammates, but when someone face hugs you, you block all the shots of your teammates. So we can actually go back and I'll demonstrate it. So I want to point this out. When someone's face hugging you, your teammates are unable to help you. This is why you never want to face hug enemies when you've got teammates behind you. If anyone wants to help me, I'm preventing them from doing that because I'm giving this IS-7 cover. So what you're going to see me do is I'm going to realize that, fall back, and then I'm going to give my AMX-30 who's behind me a shot, and that's going to happen right here, and that's going to help immensely. You're going to see this IS-7 is going to take a hit. Another person shoots at him. None of them pen, but the intent is the important part, right? Like, if I didn't give that AMX-30 a chance, it could have been very helpful. That IS-7 could be dead right now. So yeah, you can see right now I'm playing with this AMX-30. We're going after this T-34. The 34 bounces, and from here we're just going to be using my tier 10's strengths to its advantage. You can see I've got high DPM, high armor. I can just sort of push into them and shoot them, and this is really, really important. A lot of people will get scared when they see they're on 750 hit points, and they will say, oh, I have to be passive. But if you look at who I'm fighting against, none of them can reliably pen me, especially given the circumstances. So I'm continuing to be aggressive, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to secure the win. If I was passive and I started to let my tier 8 tanks take the hit or something to that effect, probably wouldn't have ended up that well. So you can see I'm looking for shots in this WZ, end up shooting down that doghouse, and I mean, from here, the city's won. They've got a one-shot WZ. The rest is just going to be pushing down. I end up getting a Top Gun. So one thing I do want to point out, when you're chasing damage, which everyone does, let's be honest, you need to be aware of the context, because a lot of times people are too aggressive or too passive when they're chasing damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push up. I'm doing it in a relatively safe manner. You can see I see the Scorpion help out my AMX-30 teammate, pick up my 4th kill. And we're just going to be aggressive, but we're not going to do it too stupidly. I'm going to push up. I want to try to spot them, but I'm not going to... obviously, I want to stay alive so I can get a Top Gun, because I've got 5 kills. So as we push in, you can see there's nothing that I'm super worried will pen me except that STRV. I take a shot at the STRV. I was safe. I know the 50 can't reliably pen me, and even if he pens me once, like, who cares? So I'm going to continue to push up. I'm trying to find the balance between safety and aggression, because obviously if my teammates end up killing the E50, I won't get my Top Gun. So you can see I'm just driving into them. I get a bit lucky here because the Scorpion doesn't kill the E50, and we end up snagging the snapshot. But there you have it. That's our Top Gun game. This is how LakeVille is played. I mean, you can see I ended up with 6, 2, 3, 4 damage. Let's go take a look at the end plates, then we'll talk about a map tactic. But I hope what I said made sense, if you know what I mean. Alrighty, so the essence to winning on LakeVille generally revolves around the city. The reason the 2-line is so bad is because it's so slow. I've always said to play the side that you can win the fastest, and I mean, if you're looking for wins, I mean, that's what I try to do. What I found is when I play the Valley, and this is why it doesn't work instead of just saying it doesn't work, is that TDs and clickers will just sit here, and then whenever you poke on them, they will shoot you for half your hit points, and then they'll fall back, and the second you try to push, they'll come back and hit you for the other half of your hit points. So the Valley doesn't work because it's literally a corridor. There's a funnel right here. I mean, it literally looks like a funnel. I can draw this in case anyone can't see it, but this right here is literally a funnel. So what happens is that you just... Any guy who's camping in the Valley has a huge advantage, or I guess it's the Valley, right? So because you have to go through this choke point, you have no other options. So that's why the 2-line doesn't work, because obviously when you try to go through a funnel, it never works. On the 4-line, I used to go here in my mediums, I'd play the middle, but I found that a lot of the times TVPs will just rush into E4, and I mean... there's no reason to rush to a position that a TVP would rush to as well. So I've stopped doing that, and I've been looking for alternatives. Now, naturally, the Valley doesn't work, and I've also sort of figured out that the 4-line isn't good anymore with the introduction of new tanks. So the next logical place, and the only place left really, is the city. So what you can see me doing is, obviously as in heavy, so of course I'm going to go to the city, but I pushed and I took the long route. This is important because if you take the really long route, TDs back here won't render you as you cross. So you need to take, like, you need to make sure those people can't render you, so it's hard for them to hit you. And then what I did from there is I just took shots in the way. I was in no rush to get to the city. Because I had shots on people. I shot at this light tank here. I wanted to give our 54 lightweight a chance, and that helped him out. And then I also took blind shots at the Scorpion or something, and I ended up hitting him. So that's what I did when I drove into position. Now, once I got into position, I made sure that I wasn't committing. A lot of people like to play the game with the mindset that their teammates are all red and that the enemies are all purple. And to be honest, that's a really terrible mindset to use, because it assumes that you can't trust your teammates, and this is untrue. I relied on this AMX-30. Once I saw that he was going into position, I relied on him to do his job. Now, I don't know his stats. I mean, he invited me to a platoon. I accepted, and I just assumed that he was an average player, capable of what an average player is capable of. So when he went into this position, I was like, okay, I'll move with him. At least we have some hit points. And I just played from there because I had teammates, and I made sure I did before I committed to the church, because obviously you can't run away from it. Now, the way you deal with TDs, because once you commit to the church, these TDs come into play, is you have to... I can draw a line for where they have shots, but you basically have to avoid this line right here, because they can shoot over these buildings or something to that. I don't know. I don't camp in G4 often, but they have shots on this location right here. So the way I dealt with that was by getting to this side of the church. Obviously, the IS-7 started to facehug me. I backed off, gave my teammates shots, because it fucking sucks when you're in that AMX-30's position and you've got this guy in a heavy tank who won't give you shots and you're stuck, but you want to try to help him, but he's not letting you. So make sure you let your teammates help you. Otherwise, you know, they're not going to. You have to give them the chance to at least help you, in my experience. So yeah, we ended up killing that IS-7, and once that IS-7 was out of the fight, it was very easy just to sort of push into the T-34, the WZ-111, whatever it is, and the 54 mod 1, and from there it was just sort of farming damage, getting a Top Gun and a 6k damage game. So yeah, the reason I think the city is valuable, just in case anyone's curious, is because of the way it allows you to push into the enemy's base. So if you look at the map from the northern perspective, there's a bowl right here. And a lot of the times, if you're in any sort of hull-down tank, you can get into this bowl and very easily farm these TDs. But the way you get into this bowl is by winning the city, having your teammates push up to this type of location, suppress the TDs, and then that will give you safe access to this area because you can just sort of drive up like so. So the city allows you to very easily attack relatively easily compared to every other option. You can attack the camping TDs. And that's sort of why it's valuable. It's a bit harder from the south spawn pushing into the north because you don't have cover as you move up. But again, there's this bowl thing that if you can get into, it's extremely powerful. So yeah, let's go take a look at the end plates and we'll go from there. So as you can see, that was a mastery badge. I still don't really know what these are. High caliber Top Gun, 6234 damage, etc, etc. 118,000 credits, 1890 XP, 1260 base. So typically, if you want a mastery badge on a tank, you need about 1250 base, and this was 1260, so you can see that was a mastery badge. Like I said, 63 damage. We ended up profiting 60,000 credits, and yeah, that's the game. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.